Hey there, health and wellness fans. Good evening and welcome to episode 17 of the YCast, an early episode.
Early episode, yeah. This is the first afternoon episode, right?
Did I wake you up?
You did wake me up. Yeah, absolutely.
This is the podcast that is revolutionizing the way men think about their health and wellness and their well-being, one conversation at a time. I'm Tony. This is my partner, co-founder, Rob Davidson.
Right,
How are you?
Pretty good. How are you today? Not bad?
I'm awesome, man. Your skin is radiating today.
I use a little skincare products. I have a routine,
Actually, that was my next question. I want to know what your routine is because I'm a little jealous.
Are you?
Well, not really, but I still, so. For audience sake. And what's your deal? What do you do?
I do morning and night.
Morning, night?
Yeah.
Moisturizing
to me is the key.
Yeah.
Moisturizing, but inside and out. I do a lot of hydration with electrolytes and things like that too. Because a lot of people drink a lot. You could drink a lot of water, but I don't know if I told you this. Yeah. My last blood test showed that I had low sodium because I drink so much water.
Oh, wow.
I work out a lot. I drink a lot of water. So my sodium was low. And I'm like, I bet I probably should have more intake of electrolytes during the day too.
Yeah.
I think that helps also hydrate, across the board. So,
well, what's interesting, what you just said, it hits you like a ton of bricks because when I asked you that question, I'm expecting, okay, you moisturize, you put serum on, you know, whatever you do, but you immediately went to your hydration.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which translates into,
it's funny because I don't have dry skin. Because I'm always working out. But it dries out afterwards, right?
Yeah.
After you shower or whatever.
Right.
So I think moisturizing is probably one of the keys. I'm sure we'll get into it today.
Yeah.
That's not my expertise, but that's what I moisturize every morning and night. And I use Retin A, honestly. I started using Retin A.
Yeah.
Which works pretty well. So,
well, we know too because we've made so many different skincare products.
Yeah.
Over time, I know myself. When you're working with different raw materials and you have to research the raw materials, and then you're learning about, retinol, you're learning about hyaluronic acid and these things that are super important for your skin. Which again, I'm not an expert either, but we'll let our guest,
absolutely,
give us this masterclass today.
Yeah, it's gonna be great.
So speaking of today, we have our special guest, Dr. Dustin Portela, who's a board-certified dermatologist, who will be leading today's discussion as we dive deep into, what's been increasingly important for men of all ages, which is skincare.
Yeah, I'm lucky because I started years ago, like 15 years ago. My wife at the time, she was like, "Hey, you better hurry up and get some skincare going."
She should have started you earlier.
She should have started me earlier. Yeah, I'll have to say something.
Yeah, but speaking of that, I mean, you say your wife. It's always been. I guess there's a stigma around. Yeah, it's getting better now.
I never thought about it. Yeah. Honestly, to me, it was like I get up, I shower.
Yeah,
I may throw lotion on or whatever, but I never really thought about it. And as you get older, you're like, oh man, I probably should have thought about this earlier, right? Including sunblock, right? And stuff like that. But I started late. I was a late starter.
And we all know how important sunblock is, or the SPF world. But it's always been a predominantly female-driven category or lifestyle.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't walk into at the time. I wouldn't have walked into a store and thought about buying my own skincare product.
No,
right?
No.
In fact, it was a little bit like, oh, I don't want to look like I'm being whatever.
Yeah,
a girl. I don't know, yeah. So
well, finally. No, I mean, look, I think everybody, especially and we're going to go through like some of the main topics that men need to adhere to as far as skincare and but I think every guy out there needs to just approach it one at a time. You don't have to like do all these different topicals and things like that. But what you can do is go to projectwhitenow.com and check out our moisturizing hydration cream, which is really good. I use this every night.
Yeah, I use it too. It's good. It's really good.
And then our serum. This has been phenomenal. We keep selling out of this, but you do get a 20% discount if you go to projectwhitenow.com and enter code projectY20. You can do that. So
I wouldn't bathe in it like you do, though. I mean, I don't think
that's I need it.
But
I'm losing all of these. What do they call them? Crow's feet.
Crow's feet.
So let's bring Dr. Portela in.
I think that's a great idea.
Yeah,
let's do it.
Hey, Dr. Portela, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks, gentlemen. It's nice to be here.
Yeah, good to have you. We're lucky to have you today.
We are lucky. I've got something on my mic here. Okay, it's running my skin. So, Dr. Portela, you have quite a following I've watched so many of your videos and the different social medias, very educational. It was funny because as I was putting the draft together, I was using a lot of your content and some of the things you were saying, educating me as I was doing that. But we're definitely lucky to have you. And I was wondering if you could, just give a little background, a little experience that you have, and maybe like your overall philosophy on skincare for men in particular.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm a board certified dermatologist, as you guys mentioned, and I practice in Boise, Idaho. I'm an Idaho native.
There you go.
So when I finished all my training, I came back to Idaho, and with a few bumps in the road, ended up opening my own practice here, and have learned, always learning. And I think that's key for everything that we do, is always trying to learn and advance and become better in your craft, and finding that each type of patient has their own unique needs, and getting a sense for how you can help them to be the most effective in caring for their skin, and that the skin is just one part of the equation of their overall health. And
right.
When it comes to men, you guys mentioned, there is kind of a stigma or a resistance to getting into skincare, and the skincare market is, of course, female dominated, and many guys and teenage boys they're just using whatever happens to be on the counter. And I've had women in my office, and they're complaining that I need to get something for their teenager, because their teenager is grabbing their $200 moisturizer or something, because that's all that there is to use, and they won't ask for their own thing. So when it comes to men, it's important to understand what their goals are. They have different goals than women in many cases. The crow's feet can sometimes be looked at as a distinguishing feature as we age. It's not necessarily something that guys are always trying to get rid of.
That's what I tell myself anyway.
Yeah. They want to look age appropriate. They want to look distinguished. They want to still be able to compete in the job market. There's a lot of guys who they're getting up in their career. They're public facing. They're in a sales job, maybe real estate, and they don't want to look older than they really are, and they have to compete against the younger generation of people entering the workforce. And they're starting to want to take care of themselves more and more. So my philosophy on men's skincare is really to keep it simple, because with anything, if we make it too complicated, they're unlikely to succeed. They're not going to do it. Whereas, depending on what a guy's hobby is, they may have no problem, tearing apart an engine and putting it back together or something, and following a million different steps. But when it comes to skincare, we really want to try to keep it simple, help them meet their goals in as few of steps as possible, and then often combine that with lifestyle changes that are going to make a difference in the way that their skin looks as well. That can be things like sleep, diet, hydration, and all of that plays a role. And when you build it in a way that they know it's going to help them not only look better, but feel better and perform better in their occupation or their hobby, it's easier to get them to buy into that.
No, that makes a lot of sense.
And usually with anything like working out, we talked a ton about like fitness and stuff. Once you with anything, once you break through that ceiling and you start actually feeling better, that's when it clicks for guys, especially.
No, I agree. I mean, once I got into that routine, like I said, my wife, she said, "You're doing it," and I did it, and I just kept doing it. It felt good, and you feel like you look better, and things change. So absolutely, it's
right.
Great. Yeah.
And I do want to point out something else you said, Dr. Portella, was the keeping it simple, right? Because even as far as even the packaging goes, when we were developing our products, I was going to these shows and meeting with vendors, and they're all like, "Oh, you need this, funky little stick and doing this and doing." I'm like, let's just have the guy dip their hand in the jar, put it on their face, and we're good to go. So I think that's overall,
keep it simple.
Keeping it simple.
I can agree more with that. Yeah, absolutely.
So why don't we lay some groundwork down, and maybe we can explain some of the unique properties of men's skin opposed to women's skin, and then some of the pillars of some type of effective routine and what you think that that entails.
Right.
Yeah. So men's skin is different than women's skin. It tends to be thicker on average, have more active oil glands. We call them sebaceous glands in dermatology. And the sebaceous glands have receptors on them for testosterone. And when testosterone gets to those receptors, they're going to produce oil. So men are more likely to be those that have oily skin than super dry skin. That can change as we get older. And this is why we see acne start to develop in our teenage years. As boys and girls go through puberty and that testosterone rises, the oil glands become a lot more active. but men have a higher concentration of the oil glands. They're more active due to the higher levels of testosterone. And that, really has to necessitate that we treat their skin slightly differently than the women. There's a lot of overlap, but there are some nuances that we try to pay attention to as we approach men's skin. And women go through menopause, obviously, and that sharp drop off of hormones leads to rapid changes in the skin. And men don't necessarily get that, but men have the unique, situation where when it comes to outdoor jobs that expose us to dirt, oil, toxins, men are more likely to be working those manual labor jobs that expose them to completely different things. And that takes a toll on the skin in a different way than many women might be exposed to.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And so when we're building a skincare routine, we think about what are you doing for an occupation? What kind of things are you exposed to?
Right.
And ultimately, kind of the first step of any routine is going to be a really good cleanser. We want something that's going to just make you feel good, refreshed. It's going to remove dirt, oil, sunscreen if you're wearing that. We're not so concerned with removing makeup in many cases, unless you're a news anchor or something, or some guys, choose to wear makeup. Or Tony. But ultimately, we want a cleanser that's going to treat the skin well, something that's pH balanced. Our skin's pH is actually slightly acidic.
Right.
So the purpose of that is it helps to fight off bacteria, viruses, fungi, all the things that are bombarding our skin every day. Like you guys mentioned, it's our first line of defense.
Absolutely.
And we don't want a traditional soap that has a really basic pH, a really high pH, because that's just going to tear apart that skin barrier and make us susceptible to having things get in the skin that are going to irritate us, that are going to potentially cause infections. So a pH balanced cleanser is going to be just mimicking the pH of the skin. It's going to be slightly acidic, probably not as acidic as the skin barrier itself, but it's going to remove excess oil, but it's not going to strip away all of the natural oils that your skin produces. But we want the skin to feel clean, but not tight, dry, that squeaky feeling like all the cleansers or soaps that I used when I was a teenager. I don't know about you guys. When I was trying to fight acne, it was like if it, the tighter and squeakier my skin could be, that must be more effective. And that's just not the case.
Right. And not to mention, I know when I was growing up, you go through that stage where you're getting pimples and you're using Oxy 10, drying out your skin with all that stuff.
Glycerin bar soaps and stuff that was so dry, I tried everything when I was a kid. Yeah.
So what would you say would be a good routine as far as, what time of the day, just on the cleansing part?
Yeah. If you're going to be cleansing, nighttime is generally the right time to cleanse because you've been out all day. And obviously people have their unique circumstances. Maybe you're working nights and you want to clean basically at the end of your work day before you're going to sleep and just kind of start with a clean palette at that time. Now, depending on how many skincare products that you're using, what else you're putting on the skin, you may want to cleanse in the morning. You may just want to splash with water in the morning. And in many cases, that's okay to do. If you're working out, if you're hitting the gym, it's important to clean after that because you've now sweated. If you're at a gym, who knows what you're getting exposed to on the equipment, if people are not wiping down the bench or whatever it is that they're doing. But you want to clean after those situations as well. So I myself clean morning and evening. If I work out in the morning, so I'll wash after that, but I'm not cleansing before a workout, for example, first thing in the morning.
Yeah. Likewise, I think I do exactly what you do. So that sounds good. I'm on the right track without knowing.
We have a question. We'll answer it in a little bit because we're gonna get into products. But the question was, is there a skincare product, for seniors that work? But let's stay on track, and then we'll when we get to the products that you recommend, we'll throw that in there. But that's a good question.
Yeah.
So I think the next one from my research was like moisturizing. Would be probably the next thing.
Yeah. Moisturizing is, I think, more important than people give it credit for. There's an idea that if you have super oily skin, you don't need to use a moisturizer. If you're acne prone, you don't need to use a moisturizer. It's important to know from a dermatological perspective, anytime you have skin disease, whether that's acne or eczema, psoriasis, rosacea, there is some level of skin barrier disruption or dysfunction. Because something has broken down in your skin. And that's where using a moisturizer is going to help to put back in your skin the lipids, the triglycerides, the things that your skin needs as the building blocks of that skin barrier. And there's a lot of ingredients that get thrown around, things like shea butter, ceramides, glycerin, hyaluronic acid, and they all have a role. And many moisturizers may contain one or more of those ingredients. But moisturizing is something that I do recommend for pretty much every patient. And you just have to find one that works well for you. In the wintertime, I tend to use a lot heavier moisturizer. It feels thicker. It sits on the skin a little bit heavier, but I'm more dry in the winter.
Right.
Yeah.
In the summertime, I like a more lightweight moisturizer. It might be a gel-based moisturizer that sits really light, that doesn't feel heavy when I go outside and it's a little more humid and I'm sweating. But I'm always trying to get something on there that puts back in my skin the things that we lose. And as we age, our skin does not make the lipids, the ceramides, and all of the proteins that we need for the skin barrier. We just slow down in producing that, just like our joints, right? We don't, keep making new cartilage and things like that. And so as we get older, we need to give our body the things that are going to help it to keep that skin barrier healthy. So a moisturizer at the end of your routine is the ideal time. If you've done any treatments, any serums, you put that on before your moisturizer, which is going to be your last step in most cases.
What is the time frame on that? Because when I put my serum on, like I'm always unsure when to put the moisturizer on after that. Is it a few minutes or?
I'm hesitant to always provide a hard and fast rule on there because if I say, oh, you got to wait, I think in many cases it's great if you can wait a minute or two and kind of let that product absorb into the skin. But if you're in a rush and you're trying to get things done, I don't want you to feel like it's ineffective to have that serum on your face and immediately jump into your moisturizer.
Awesome.
So I think it's great if you can wait a minute and let that product absorb and get in there so you're not immediately diluting it, but you still get benefit if you have to just rush right in and get through your routine.
Right.
I want to touch on a point that you made, Doctor, about oily skin and people not putting moisturizer on because they have oily skin, right? Does that actually does it help actually when you're balancing it? Does it help slow down that oil release in the sebaceous glands if you're balancing out that moisture level? So it doesn't increase or facilitate additional oil secretion.
No, it doesn't cause you to become more oily. I think the complaint is people are using moisturizers that are maybe too heavy for their skin. And so it just feels like, oh, I'm just even more greasy now. But your skin, it's not a feedback loop. Whereas if you put that on there, your oil glands are going to say, oh, I don't have to do any work anymore. Remember, the oil glands they're controlled largely by testosterone, by our hormones. And the amount of oil that they produce is going to be the same no matter what. Putting a moisturizer on isn't going to turn them off or turn them into hyperdrive. It's just going to give your skin a little bit of what it needs.
So let me ask you, would you recommend what would be like a home remedy? Like, okay, I don't have my moisturizer. I don't have anything around the house. Can I just throw some water? You did your cleansing, but can I just throw some water on my face? Does that help moisturize?
Water doesn't really help moisturize. It's going to evaporate really quickly. And in some cases, it might actually pull more out of your skin. And so I do like something that is going to sit on the skin and kind of be somewhat of an occlusive to prevent that extra water loss, or be putting something in that binds the water. That's where hyaluronic acid is great, or glycerin, because they hold on to water and keep it there on the top of the skin.
Right. Yeah. So there's no home remedy.
There's not a great home remedy. And people might turn to
the olive oil, right?
Don't use olive oil. If you wanted to use an oil, I guess coconut oil would be better than olive oil.
Oh, there you go.
But I like a moisturizer that's been made for your skin.
Right.
Yeah. Put the can of Crisco.
Yeah, everyone's going to go to Costco next week and buy 10 gallons of coconut oil.
Yeah.
Buy a moisturizer, Tony. Come on, don't be cheap.
Yeah, exactly.
It's worth it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, the next, I guess this next thing was when I was doing my research for the show. All I was reading was about is SPF, how important it is, and I guess you don't realize it for someone like me. I mean, I don't go to the beach a ton. But when I go, I do put it on, but I'm not real conscious of it. And just going out, if I'm going to be outside, or like you mentioned, if it's you're in labor force and you're working outside, you may need it, but how important is that?
Yeah. Well, I may have a perspective that's different than anybody else, because in my clinic, I see the worst of the worst. I see people who are battling skin cancer. And so I have a biased perspective on this, but what I can say is that without a doubt, sunscreen is the most important thing to prevent skin cancer and aging of the skin. And the more regularly that you can use it, the better your skin is going to be from how old you look and from your risk of skin cancer.
Right.
Now, sun is the major contributor to skin cancer for some types, but not all types of skin cancer. But avoiding the sun or protecting ourselves from the sun is the easiest way to modify our risk. We can't change if you're a redheaded Irish descendant and you're going to get burned, just from seeing the sun on the TV. Yeah. But we can modify how much UV you get exposed to.
Yeah.
And so sunscreen, the way that I like to explain it is most people are pretty good. They know they got to put it on when they go to the beach or when they're going to go on a hike and be out for several hours, but they don't remember to reapply. And so they get a false sense of security. They go out, they've been out there 3-4 hours. They haven't reapplied. They get burned and they think sunscreen doesn't work.
Yeah.
And then you and I have the same issue too, because I always forget to do my head. And I go home the next morning. I just, I'm in so much pain that I get in the shower and I forget, and the water hits in. I'm like screaming.
Yeah.
It's like a big banner.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I've cut way too many skin cancers off the scalp of men that when I started shaving my head, I was like, I'm never going to miss a day where I don't put sunscreen up there, because I never want to go through what I've had to do to people.
Yeah. That makes sense.
And the other side is that it's really, in many cases, it's not that day at the beach that leads to problem. It's that little incidental exposure that adds up day after day. That 30-minute commute in the car where all that sunlight is coming in on the left side of your face, running errands around, and you run into somebody and all of a sudden you're outside talking for 30-45 minutes and you don't have sunscreen on. So I always recommend, just if you put it on every day before you leave the house, you're never going to get caught off guard.
Right.
And you're gonna find that by the time you're getting to be 50, 60, and you're getting concerned with the things that are growing on your skin, you avoid many of those things if you start sunscreen earlier in your life.
What's interesting, I fly a lot internationally, so long flights, right? 13 hours, 12 hours, whatever it is. And I was sitting with a pilot right next to me. He was flying with me going home, and he was putting sunscreen on during the flight. It was a day flight, and he said, the rays up here are worse than when you're on the ground, and it's just real potent. And he said, honestly, flyers, you should be wearing sunscreen if you're going to fly during the day and you're going to be near a window. He said you should have sunscreen. Pilots have a high incidence of skin cancer. I did not know that.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's one of the highest occupations with skin cancer.
And I was really shocked.
And I always have a window seat.
Yeah, so I know you do. I know. Thank you for blocking the sun. But so you're my sunscreen. But so I actually started thinking I should start putting sunblock on during flights.
Just one of those things no one think about.
I mean, I wasn't even thinking about it. But and I did not realize how high the incidence was. But you just you verified that. That's interesting.
Yeah. So they definitely have a higher incidence. They're also exposed to more cosmic radiation, right?
Sure. That's true.
They're up there. There's less of the atmosphere filtering out all sorts of different radiation, and all of that plays a role and takes a toll on them. But again, the modifiable risk factor is going to be that ultraviolet light that sunscreen blocks.
Yeah. So now I do that. See, you learn.
Well, speaking of skin concerns, we should talk about some, common things that, guys deal with.
You missed a couple of questions on the like someone, Lisa, I think, asked about moisturizer. I don't know if you want to tackle that now, or it's during the middle of.
Can you read it? Because I'm blind.
So what ingredients are important to have in a moisturizer?
The main things that you're going to look for, you're going to see ingredients like glycerin. Glycerin is essentially like a sugar that binds onto water. It's very hydrating. You can get pure glycerin and even use that. It's going to feel a little sticky. So that's why it's usually better to have that formulated in a moisturizer. Things like shea butter, ceramides, those are going to be good ingredients. You'll find some moisturizers made with argan oil, jojoba oil, and then we have the even things like urea can be a really good moisturizer. And those are the things that I recommend for really dry skin patients that their heels are cracked or their elbows are just, looking like a desert sandbed. Urea can be really good. Yeah. So those are kind of the range of things. And, in many cases, you're looking for ceramides, hyaluronic acid, glycerin, and those are going to do a really good job for many people.
Great.
Actually, you just said something that made me think of something. As you said, like, cracked heels and things like that. So I know you go into a store and there's, facial moisturizers, body moisturizer, and all these things. Can you just use a facial moisturizer for your elbows and your feet as well? Or
yeah, absolutely. You're going to get benefit from it if you do that. The reason that many people don't use a facial moisturizer on the body is because most facial moisturizers are going to cost a little more money. They're going to come in a smaller size. And so just buy a big tub of a body moisturizer. And it's also fine to use that body moisturizer on the face. So again, we're trying to keep it simple for guys. There's a lot of flexibility. And just because something says it's for the face, it can still be used on the body and vice versa.
Yeah, I like that. And then there's another question. Yeah. Is there any skincare products that can help seniors whose skin bruises easily?
Yeah, this is
maybe elaborate on that if you don't mind.
Yeah.
About why skin bruises as you get older, and
once we hit the age of 30, we're always making collagen in our skin. Collagen is produced and it's broken down, and collagen gets broken down through sunlight exposure. That's where wearing sunscreen may help preserve some of your collagen. If you're drinking alcohol, if you've got a bad diet, you may not be giving your body the building blocks it needs to make more collagen. Right. But it's one of those processes where the production of collagen versus the degradation of collagen, that balance starts to shift, and we lose about 1% of our collagen per year after the age of about 30. And when women go through menopause, that even accelerates for them. They may lose up to 3% per year.
Wow.
Jeez.
All of that collagen in the skin is the padding. It's the protection around the blood vessels. And if you are losing that padding and you bump something, the blood vessel is much more likely to get damaged, break open, and form a bruise under the skin. And I see it every day in my clinic where somebody has bruises all over their arms and they're like, I don't even know where this came from.
Yeah.
So in trying to protect collagen, we often will recommend sunscreen or sun protective measures like wearing a long sleeve shirt. And there's a huge difference in my old farmer and rancher patients who wear those long sleeve shirts every day. Right. The cut off at their hand to their arm, it's night and day different.
Man.
And they're bruising all over their forearm maybe, but up above their shirt sleeve, if they're wearing short sleeves, is pristine.
Yeah.
So sun protection's huge. Retinol can be formulated in body lotions as well. And that is something that signals your cells to make more collagen. I just saw a patient today, and I'm not sure about the diagnosis yet, but everything pointed to we don't see this very often, but scurvy.
Oh yeah. Wow. But, yeah,
Pirates, the old pirate disease. But I asked this patient about their diet, and they wake up and I'll have some toast, and they just kind of walk through what they're eating. I'm like, you're not getting any fruits in your diet or anything.
Yeah.
And they had corkscrew hairs, they had bruising all over. Vitamin C is critical to make collagen.
Yeah.
And when the pirates and the old sailors were not getting vitamin C, the collagen would break down in their skin, in their hair, in their gums, and so they're bleeding gums and bruising. So I actually recommend, I think you need to start taking vitamin C.
That may be the first diagnosis in the U.S. in a long time of vitamin C.
And I've never diagnosed it before, and I didn't draw blood to prove it, but she had many of the signs. She's got gum disease, she's got corkscrew hair, she's got bruising. So
I'll never watch Pirates of the Caribbean this summer.
Staying with the collagen, I know a lot of people are buying collagen and supplementing it, putting it in drinks and ingesting it. Does that do anything? I mean, does it help support collagen growth? It's a peptide. I mean, there's peptides in
It's a peptide, yeah. So hydrolyzed collagen peptides, they have to be hydrolyzed. They're broken down. So when you consume an animal collagen, if it's bovine or fish collagen, it's not getting in your body and going directly to your skin in that form. Right. However, there's been a number of studies done now, and the meta-analyses, the big reviews of these, in my reading of the literature, on balance, it does seem to improve the skin, the radiance and the elasticity of the skin. And there's evidence that one of these peptides, hydroxyproline, might actually act as a signaling molecule when it gets in the body. So your body sees that, and it triggers your body to say, hey, we got to remember to make collagen here. And hey, we have all the building blocks now because they just consumed it. Right. So they're coming in as these amino acids, these peptides, and the body has the reserves now that it needs to make the collagen and the signals in order to make it. So I do recommend collagen supplementation for my patients who are complaining about bruising.
Okay. There you go. That's a perfect. Yeah. Okay. That's great. And anything, I know I'm deviating from your outline.
No, you're not.
So I get yelled at all the time, but no, I'm just kidding. Red light therapy, I've heard a lot about too.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know a lot about it, but I know a lot of, not dermatologists, but I see a lot of people that go to their, they go get a facial and they're using red light therapy with that. Estheticians are, promoting it. What do you think about that?
I do like red light therapy. I have one at home that I stand in front of a red light panel. I'll do sauna at night and then step in front of my red light panel. Red light and that far infrared can penetrate through the skin. It has some anti-inflammatory benefits. It can boost the function of your mitochondria. And it's one of those things that if you are relying on that solely as your, skin protective mechanism, I think you'll be disappointed.
Right.
But if you're doing the other things that are helpful, if you're eating a good diet, you're well hydrated, you're reasonably protecting your skin from damage to UV or other things, and you want to add red light on and you can do it consistently, I think it's worthwhile. But don't neglect everything else and think red light's going to save you.
Right. No, good point. Thank you.
Even when you're in the red light district, Rob.
Yeah. You're going to pick up something else in the red light.
Yeah, exactly. We won't talk about those skin conditions.
But there's a lot. I mean, just been reading a lot about red light therapy.
Yeah. I'm a fan.
Red and blue. I guess blue light is for inflammation more, though. Is that accurate?
Yeah, red light can help with inflammation. The blue light is good to target bacteria.
Okay.
So if you have acne, blue light can be really helpful to actually help to reduce and kill some of that acne causing bacteria.
Okay. So get red light and get blue light. Get whatever you can get, Tony.
Yeah.
So
hurry up.
So, doctor, do you do these procedures in your office?
We don't have a red light in my office that we use, but I have recommended it to patients. We have a way for our patients to purchase a home red light mask that gets shipped to them if that is something that they're interested in, but we haven't brought it into the office.
Very cool. Did it come with speakers and music and all that? Or
it should, right?
It should. That'd be good. Yeah.
Well, some of the other things that a lot of men deal with are, number one, I know when I was younger, I dealt with razor burn.
Mm-hmm.
Ingrown hairs.
Yeah.
Those are stubborn things.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. It's a challenging condition, and it depends. Some ethnicities are going to be at higher risk for this. We have, of course, long technical names for them in dermatology. If it's on your neck, pseudofolliculitis barbae. If it's on the back of your neck, acne keloid allis nucae. And the general recommendations, if you struggle with a lot of shaving burn and razor bumps, is it's really good to prep the skin before you shave. So a hot towel or a steam shower, something, and take a cloth and kind of loosen up those hairs, get them to not be stuck down to the skin. So they're standing up a little bit more. They'll be picked up better by the razor. If you really have a lot of bumps, there is some benefit to using razors that have fewer blades. These multi-blade razors are great. They do a great job, but they can pick up the hairs and cut them to the point where when they fall back down, they're underneath the skin.
Right.
And then you're more likely to get an ingrown hair as that starts to grow back out. Mm-hmm. So when somebody struggles with this, I'll often tell them to prep the skin, use a good lubricant on the skin, a shaving cream or other type of lather, and then use a single or maybe a double razor and shave only with the grain of the hair. Mm-hmm. So if you shave with the grain of the hair, it may leave you more prone to seeing a 5 o'clock shadow. But if you start, turning the razor and then going back up against the grain, you're going to be cutting that hair so short, you'll increase the risk of getting those shaving bumps. And so,
does your skin get conditioned to the way you shave over time?
Yeah, it does. It gets conditioned to it. Your skin just kind of gets used to that. And I notice a difference because I shave my head every couple of days, and every once in a while I like to use a razor and just get a really close shave. Mm-hmm. But if I do that, it just, my skin feels different after the razor shave versus the electric that I use most of the time.
Yeah.
And so it does benefit you to kind of get used to a routine and stick with it, and your skin responds better that way.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't use shaving cream actually when I shave. I use hair conditioner.
Yeah.
Yeah, it works. It works great. It works better than, for me, it works better than shaving cream.
I use moisturizer.
Yeah. Okay, there you go. That's good too.
Works
best. I found a really good oil cleanser. Like it's just a facial cleanser, but it's a oil base, and it
so nice.
My favorite thing.
Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna have to try that one too.
Sounds luxurious.
Yeah. So what happens if patients come in, they have damaged skin. Laser therapy, is that something that people do a lot? Does it work? Does it help reverse some of the dark spots and some
yeah. Lasers, it depends on the laser that you're using.
Right.
The lasers are excellent for what they do, but one laser kind of only targets one thing in the skin. It's a single wavelength of light. And so the laser that removes lines and wrinkles is not always the best laser for dark spots or blood vessels on the face.
Right.
And that's the crappy part about being a dermatologist is if I want to treat red vessels on somebody's nose, I got to buy a whole another laser that costs $200,000.
Yeah, no, they're expensive. That's for sure. Yeah, they're amazing pieces of equipment. I've seen them.
Yeah,
pretty amazing. But they hurt. I'm just kidding.
They do. Yeah, I mean they're just
like a rubber band.
They're generating heat in some way, and they can be painful.
Yeah.
And so when consumers, when listeners are looking for laser treatment, you really have to do your research and make sure that the problem that you want to tackle, that the practice has the laser that is truly the best for that. Because I've seen many cases where a practice has one laser and they try to do a little bit of everything with it, and they'll take people's money, and people are kind of disappointed with the results because that's not the best laser for the problem. Yeah, it can help a little bit, but another laser is a much better tool for that thing.
Yeah, I imagine the different wavelengths are going to, be different, right?
Yeah. If you only had a hammer in your toolbox, I mean, you can do a fair amount with it, but it's certainly not going to, do everything for you.
Right. True. Yeah.
Right.
Good point.
Good information.
Yeah.
So
I'm sorry. You can go into your outline now. Teasing you.
Well, someone's got to keep the show on track.
No, exactly.
Well, let's jump into acne because this one is we all go through it, right? And I think like I've grown out of it, but there are a lot of men out there, middle-aged men that still suffer from this. What's your overall thoughts on how to treat acne and what that routine looks like?
Yeah, when it comes to acne, the treatments can in many ways be similar to what we do for teenagers. We rely on a lot of the same active ingredients. We may turn to more active ingredients in the cleansers rather than just a gentle cleanser. We might be picking up a cleanser that has benzoyl peroxide or salicylic acid to remove even more oil, or the benzoyl peroxide can help to kill the bacteria that cause acne. We'll use tretinoin, retin-A, some type of retinol to help improve the cell turnover, to stop the pores from getting plugged up. And the adult men that have acne are kind of in two camps from what I see. One is they've just always had really oily, acne-prone skin. It's just what they were blessed with, and they never fully grow out of it. And then the other one is the group of guys who get on testosterone. And testosterone replacement therapy, I think, is a wonderful thing that has been underutilized, and many more guys are getting on the bandwagon of that. And I think if it's done appropriately and you're monitored, it can have great benefits. But once again, you're introducing a lot more testosterone into the system, and your oil glands just aren't used to seeing that much testosterone. And so they go wild again, and you start getting a lot of acne. And for those patients, when they start responding, they're hyper responders to that testosterone. It's really hard to treat that acne. And we do all the topicals. And in many cases, the only thing that really gets them to clear up is a course of Accutane. And we can safely do that in adults. And sometimes I'll do a regular course of Accutane. And sometimes if we know, you're going to be on testosterone for the rest of your life, we're going to do this in such a way where you take 1 or 2 Accutane pills a week. And that way you don't feel any side effects. We're not hurting your liver, and you can be on it for a much longer period of time. And we're balancing the risks and the benefits that way.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. If you are, let's say you're a middle-aged guy and you don't have any acne, and then, you are going on a TRT, and then you start to see this, what would you recommend going to see a doctor if it's persistent?
Yeah. If it's persistent and you've tried the topicals that you can get over the counter, benzoyl peroxide, a retinol. The retinol that I would recommend over the counter is called Differin or adapalene. Adapalene is the active ingredient, and there's more than one company that manufactures adapalene now. But that used to be prescription, and it's probably the best retinol over the counter.
Okay.
And if you've tried that, you're not getting the results that you would like to see, then I would see a dermatologist, because in particular, we want to prevent scarring. You're on testosterone replacement therapy because you want to look better, you want to feel better. And if all of a sudden you're starting to get scars on your skin and deep cysts, we need to correct that.
Yeah.
Right.
And so getting on the prescription retinols that are available that are stronger than what you can get over the counter. And then again, if we can't quite get you there, we'll have a conversation about Accutane and determine if it's appropriate for you. It's not a one size fits all. Not everybody needs it or not everybody should have it, but there is a case to be made for it.
Yeah. And I think that's another thing, guys, there's a stigma around too.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Without doubt. Yeah.
Well, this next part we put specifically for Rob. Let's talk about aging.
Excellent.
So
how not to age. I want
fine lines, sunspots, all those wonderful things we're dealing with, right?
Yeah.
What do you
mean we're dealing with?
You. I'm sorry. You.
What's this we?
Yeah. Exactly.
So this is all very individual. And again, this is an area where I don't think guys have had the scrutiny that many women face as they start to age. And that's a luxury that we have as men. Is that most people it's very socially acceptable for men to start showing the signs of aging. And we can all, see examples of Hollywood stars who are, as the men get older, they get more refined and dignified and they still get the roles, but women can struggle a lot more. And that's when we see people really diving into plastic surgery and fillers and things. And unfortunately, we've seen horror stories happen because of that. Mm-hmm. So if this is something that bothers you, if you still want to do something to maintain a competitive edge in the workforce or whatever it is, again, prevention is the best medicine. Sunscreen, retinol earlier in life to prevent those problems. But to start with fine lines and wrinkles, if you are really prone to getting deep forehead lines or that furrow between your eyebrows, Botox for men is a great treatment. It's underutilized. Many guys are not pursuing it, but the Brotox, as we call it, is
I like that. Brotox
can be really helpful to help limit that. And again, I would recommend going to somebody who knows what they're doing. Right. Men typically need higher doses of Botox because the muscles are thicker and stronger.
Right.
And the anatomy of men is going to be slightly different. And I've seen, unfortunately, guys treated elsewhere where their eyebrows are really heavy and they're right above that orbital rim. They're sitting right on the bone. And somebody treats their forehead way too much and they look like a Cro-Magnon after that. Their eyelids are just sitting down heavy. And it'll wear off, but it's not fun to go through. So you have to have a light touch when you do it, but still dose appropriately.
I earned these lines. I'm keeping them.
and that's fine. And that's great. If somebody wants to even just soften them. And that's the thing that I do is I've never frozen my own forehead, but I've done Botox. I do it once or twice a year. So right now, I haven't done it for probably 8 months and I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
But I'll do enough to just soften it, to slow down that movement, slow down the wrinkles. And I don't freeze my forehead and I'm not pursuing complete elimination of the wrinkles. That can work really well. We don't do a lot of fillers on guys in my practice. Other practices in other areas of the country may, but there's a role for that if somebody wants to pursue it. Yeah. But sunscreen and retinol will do a lot for those fine lines and wrinkles. If retinol, you want to slow down the development. And then if
you'd recommend, like, if you're dealing with that, you want to try to fix that or pay attention, that you'd say retinol would be.
Yeah. Retinol's a great place to start. And retinol is kind of the jack of all trades. It's going to help with your fine lines and wrinkles. It can help to turn over dark spots on the skin a little bit faster and reduce the appearance of that. It'll improve the texture and the tone of your skin. It may decrease the appearance of your pores. So it really does a lot of things. It's one of the most effective things men can do in a skincare routine to delay or prevent the signs of aging.
What's your thoughts on the niacinamide, like serums and things like that?
Niacinamide is another one of those that has many benefits. It may also help with acne, fine lines and wrinkles. There's a role for it in pigmentation. It's not nearly as strong as retinol for many of those things. And the thing that we see now is there's some great cosmetic formulators out there when they're making these products, and they're putting in the hyaluronic acid, they're putting in the niacinamide right along with your retinol. And that's great for men to simplify that routine, get many benefits on the skin in a single step.
Yeah, that's a great idea. I like that. Yeah.
But we talked vitamin C earlier. That I would think that's overall you can use that for all of these ailments, correct?
Yeah, vitamin C is going to play a role in that as well. My skincare routine is pretty simple, but I do a vitamin C every morning and I do a retinol at night. The vitamin C is going to act as a antioxidant. It may help to build collagen as well. It may help to reduce the appearance of dark spots, but ultimately when we get damage to the skin, whether it's a free radical caused by ultraviolet light, whether it's dirt, toxins, pollution at your work environment, the free radicals that get bouncing around in your skin that might damage your DNA, that might lead to collagen loss, fine lines, wrinkles, dark spots. Vitamin C can help to gobble those up and take them away before they can do any damage. So I really like a vitamin C in a skincare routine, and that generally should be done in the morning before you put on your sunscreen.
Right. Okay. And there's a lot of, we were talking about serums earlier, but there's a lot of serums out there I see with vitamin C.
Yeah, there is. There's a lot. I've seen that too.
Yeah, a lot of different types of vitamin C that the formulators might use.
Right.
The L-ascorbic acid or ethyl ascorbic acid, things like that. And some might be better than others. Some might work for your skin better than someone else's. So again, it's something where you look and make sure you find something that works in your price point and that feels good on your skin and that you're seeing results from.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's a good point. Not every product works for everybody, right?
Right.
So everybody has, so we all have our differences in our skin, and what works for me may not work for you.
Right.
So you just got to try it out. It's trial and error, really.
Yeah.
See what's better.
Well, speaking of that too, when I was a kid, my mom always told me like exfoliate. She had these like sponges in there that were like 20 grit sandpaper that I grew up and I got so used to like, exfoliating in these areas where I saw there was like, buildup of oil. And, and then I noticed as I was getting older, my skin was getting so dry in these areas. And I just think I ruined my skin. But with that said, what are your thoughts on exfoliation?
Yeah, I was the same as you when I was a kid, high school, and then in college. I didn't know what to do with my skin. And it was somewhat embarrassing as I had a college roommate and he just looked at me one day and he's like, dude, you've got to moisturize. Like your skin looks awful. and I really did. I had flakes of skin.
When you hear that from another guy,
from another guy who also didn't take care of his skin, but I'm I knew it was a problem and now people are saying something. So exfoliating has a role, but on the face, I like chemical exfoliation rather than physical exfoliation. I don't like, using something gritty and trying to strip off skin. Right. And so this is where you get into things like glycolic acid, lactic acid, mandelic acid. These are very light acids on the skin that will help to remove dead skin cells. And there's a lot of over-the-counter products that have low percentages of these so that you can use them a couple of times a week, kind of get a nice little refresh, but not completely destroy your skin.
Right. You had a question I saw come up too. If you want to jump on that, because we did talk about sunblock. If you want to jump back, you want me to do that?
Please read it.
Yeah. So here's the question. I don't know if you could see it, Doc. What do you think of the new surgery-free treatment for skin cancer? I think it's called Gentle Cure.
Yeah, I'm very familiar with it. When I was in residency, we used a lot of radiation treatment for skin cancer. This is radiation treatment for skin cancer.
Okay.
And there are good cure rates when using this, but you have to be aware of the risks because, again, we're talking radiation, right? We all know radiation can cause cancer as well.
Yep.
So when this is the conversation that I have with patients, and this is a conversation that each individual has to have with their own doctor to determine what's best for them. Right. But right now, surgery is still the gold standard for removing skin cancer. And when you get a skin cancer on the face, we use a procedure called Mohs micrographic surgery, MOHS. And I won't go into the nuances of why it's the gold standard, but it is the gold standard and has been for 50 years. And we have complete margin control. We look under the microscope and we know with certainty that we got the cancer out. And the cosmetic outcome of Mohs surgery is excellent because when we get trained in Mohs surgery, we get trained in facial reconstruction as well. So we can do skin grafts and flaps and some pretty crazy things to rearrange tissue and make that area almost invisible after the skin cancer is cut out.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Radiation is where we do a targeted dose of radiation to the area of skin cancer. And the energy is not deep enough that it's going to go all the way through your skull into your brain and cause brain cancer. It's only penetrating a few millimeters in the skin, and we can control how wide it is. But when we look at a cancer on the skin, we have to guess how wide it goes. And when we cut it out, we go check it under the microscope. And if it goes wider than we think, we go back and cut more.
Right. Yeah.
When we target an area for radiation, we're guessing how far that goes. And if we guess wrong and the cancer is larger than it looks on the surface, we're going to miss it, and that cancer is not going to be cured.
Right. Right.
And a lot of young people like the idea of radiation because they don't want to go through surgery. They don't want to miss work. But if you're in your 30s, 40s, 50s, and you get radiation, even if it cures that skin cancer, it may put you at risk of developing another skin cancer in 15 or 20 years.
Yeah.
And now when a skin cancer occurs in an area that has already been radiated, it can be much more difficult to treat. And you're not a candidate for radiation a second time in the same area.
Interesting.
We're not checking the margins after it's done. You get 15 to 20 radiation treatments, and then we just look with our eyeballs and our magnifiers every 6 months to see if that skin cancer has come back. And there is a misconception that radiation is not going to cause a scar, but radiation will wipe out hair follicles, it will wipe out the oil glands, and it will change the texture of the skin. So even radiation can cause a scar. I like to reserve radiation treatment for my patients who are 70 or older, because in 20 years, if they were to get another skin cancer, it may not be a factor for them.
May not, yes.
And they're often, surgically fatigued. They've already been through, 20 skin cancer surgeries, and they're like, I just don't want to get caught on anymore. And I can sympathize with that. And then we don't do radiation in my office. Again, it's one of those $500,000 machines I don't want to buy. So I refer them to the hospital that has the machine. Yeah. So there is absolutely a place for radiation. The direct to consumer marketing, I think, makes it sound better than it is for all patients. It really comes down to having a good relationship with your doctor, that you trust their recommendation, that they're going to help you choose the thing that's best for you.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I like your idea. I mean, obviously 70, right? You can do that because it's gentle. It's, 15 to 20 years, as you said, if it causes cancer, probably not going to be a big factor at that point.
Yeah. But the other thing that I've had a lot of patients, even if they're in their 70s or 80s, and they're saying, I think I want to do radiation. And then I say, all right, we're going to refer you. You're going to go over. You're going to have to go in every day for 3 or 4 weeks to get a radiation treatment. Yeah. And they start thinking like, I got to go to the doctor 20 times in a month. They're like,
cut it out. Yeah, exactly. And you could do that real time because you're looking under the microscope as you're doing the surgery.
Yeah, we cut it out.
A lot of people don't realize that. You're doing it real
while the patient waits.
Yeah.
And then I walk back in the room and say, we got it all. Let's put in your stitches. Or, hey, I got to take a little more. I'm going to check it, and then we'll be back. And so in the same day, we remove the cancer. They know that it's out. We don't have to wait a week for a pathologist to tell us. They get their stitches and they go home.
So cool. See, that's to me, that's
the way to go.
That should be the gold standard, actually.
Yeah.
You're taking out the risk,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And you look cool with a good scar.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of looking cool, let's talk about some well-known lifestyle aspects that can help. Because Rob mentioned after the intro, I was talking about skincare. I'm like, what's your routine? And you're like, well, I drink electrolytes. So I didn't even think about going for inside out.
Yeah.
But diet, hydration, sleep, stress.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on some of these things, and how can guys improve, their outer look?
Yeah, it's underappreciated. All of these things are so important. To talk about diet. If you drink a lot of alcohol, your skin's just going to look worse. It really is.
There you go, Rob.
That's why I drink electrolytes.
Alcohol is it is a toxin to the skin. It's a toxin to many of our tissues.
Sure.
We used to have this idea that maybe a glass of wine at night was healthy for your heart, and that's pretty much been debunked now. So there's not really any true health benefit to drinking alcohol. It's maybe not the worst thing in your world if you have a drink now and then, a little social lubricant. But just know there's no redeeming improvement for your health.
Right.
And it just has downstream effects that impact your metabolic health in many other ways, in addition to being directly toxic to your skin, increasing the risk for acne and rosacea. I know if I have a couple of drinks, if I go to a conference and I have a couple of drinks, when I get home a few days later, I'm going to start breaking out with acne. It's just going to happen.
Oh, wow.
So, and that's the way that my skin responds. It may not be that way for everybody. Eating a well-balanced diet, lots of whole foods, vegetables, fiber. There's a huge connection between your gut health and your skin health. It's not an area where we have precision medicine where I'm like, take this probiotic and your acne will go away. but the healthier that your diet is, the healthier your skin is going to reflect.
Yeah.
And so
you do have a flora, right, in your skin too.
Yeah,
so
and on your skin and in your gut, and they talk to each other.
Yeah.
So
they signal. Yeah. No question.
Hydration, if you're not filling up the gas tank, with water, your cells are going to be dehydrated. Your body is going to prioritize your water and your electrolytes to keep your heart and your brain and your lungs and your kidneys working. And it'll gladly dehydrate your skin in order to do that if you're not drinking enough water. So you've got to put enough in there to make sure that all of your tissues have the hydration that it needs.
Yep. So, yeah, makes sense.
Sleep's critically important. And a lot of guys, we have this social pressure to work harder. Nobody cares. Burn the candle at both ends. You start getting those bags under your eyes. You start looking fatigued and bloodshot, and your skin will suffer because of that. Just like your brain, your heart, everything repairs while you're sleeping, your skin does too. And if you're not giving your body that time to reset, it'll take a toll on the skin also.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Good info there.
Yeah. So, we all have these check engine lights that go on, right? What do you suggest for people? Like, I've never been to a dermatologist.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, is there a specific time people should go, like every 6 months, or, what's your recommendation on what to look for and when to go overall?
Yeah. The thing to know is we have this organization in the United States called the USPTF, United States Preventative Service Task Force. And they generally make the recommendations as to when you should get screened for cancer. They've just said the colonoscopy should start at 45 now instead of 50. Yeah. And women are getting mammograms every year at earlier ages to help catch and prevent breast cancer. Mm-hmm. They have not yet made a recommendation for skin cancer screening, which is in some ways surprising.
Yeah.
But they haven't recommended that, at age 40, everybody needs to start going and getting skin cancer screenings. So the way that I recommend is if you have had a first degree relative have a skin cancer, now is the time to go get your first check. Mm-hmm. So mom, dad, brothers, sisters, or a child of yours has had a skin cancer, you should go and get a baseline examination and then ask the doctor, when do I need to come back? Can I do 1 year, 2 years? If you yourself have had a skin cancer, you just bought yourself at least annual skin checks for the rest of your life.
Yep.
And when I diagnose skin cancer on somebody, then I'm going to see them back much more frequently, maybe every 3 months or 6 months, until we go a couple of years without finding anything new. And then we might let them go back to a year.
Right.
If you're very fair skinned and you've had lots of sunburns, it's reasonable to go get that first exam and then ask your doctor, when do I need to come back? How often do you really need to see me based on my risk profile?
Right.
So those are general recommendations. If you don't really fall into any of those camps, then if you're in your, late 30s, early 40s, I think it's completely reasonable to go get a baseline exam and just ask, do you need to see me next year or can I wait a few years?
Yeah, I got to do it.
Yeah. I went this year. I just did mine. Yeah, my screening. Yeah. But I think,
let me know how it goes.
I think after 55, maybe you should go annual. I mean, I don't know. That would be
especially if you're living in a high sun area, you're getting a lot of exposure. I think it's a good idea.
Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely.
We talked a bit about ingredients, but there's still a bunch of things on labels that I think people are unaccustomed to reading or even understanding.
Yeah.
And we always see this thing. For as long as I can remember growing up, you see hypoallergenic, and I still don't know what the heck it means. But at the end of the day, there are 2 or 3 buzzwords people should look for on a label to know that that's what I'm looking for type?
Yeah, I like the idea of hypoallergenic. I couldn't tell you off the top of my head exactly what standard that would be, but generally something that's hypoallergenic isn't going to have fragrance in it. It's not going to smell fruity or flowery. And there's just going to be fewer things in there that could cause allergic reactions on the skin. And there's a handful of things that are more likely to cause that. Fragrance is one. Nickel is something that causes a lot of skin allergies. That's not going to be in your skincare products, but in certain jewelries and things. Yeah. So there's common ingredients that can lead to reactions that will be left out of formulations that are considered hypoallergenic. You want to look for things that are non-comedogenic. That means that they have been tested not to plug up your pores. Nobody wants to start a skincare routine and then get a bunch of acne from it. And most of the products on the market today are pretty good with that respect as being non-comedogenic.
Would you say for sunblock, sunscreen, a zinc-based is the best, or what in your opinion, what is the best type of
Yeah, I always say the best sunscreen is the one that you like to use.
I like that. I like that.
And so for me, as a guy that I want to put sunscreen all the way up over my head and I have facial hair, when I'm going to go see patients or when I'm doing social things, I don't want a zinc sunscreen because they clump up in my beard. And I just don't want a white cast. If I'm going to be on the beach all day with my kids, I'll paint myself white as a ghost because I don't care. I'm not out there trying to impress anybody. I just don't want to get burned. So for me, it depends on the context. If I'm going to go run 5 miles, I'll paint myself up white with a zinc water resistant sunscreen and go have a run. But in social settings, I'm going to be using a chemical sunscreen. For people that have darker skin complexions, chemical sunscreens are going to be a lot more elegant, not leaving a white cast on the skin. And so it's about finding one that you like to use that feels good on your skin and offers at least an SPF 30 protection or higher.
That's what I do. Yeah.
Okay.
And reapply because I don't.
Yeah.
That's the worst thing. I don't reply. That's my biggest problem. Yeah. I forget. I'm in the moment, hiking or coaching or whatever I'm doing. Right. Yeah.
Yeah. And there's so, many companies have tried to make it very easy. When I go hiking or camping with my kids, I take the sunscreen sticks, throw them in my backpack. And it, like I'm playing football or, painting some paint under my eyes, and I can just wipe that on. And I, if my hands are sweaty or dirty, I'm not smearing that all over my face. I just use
that. Yeah.
And remember to do the back of your neck. I always forget to do the back of my neck.
The biggest place.
Pain the next day.
Yeah. Big area too, big surface area back there.
Yeah. No, this has been great. So you're a guy and you're listening to the show, and tomorrow you're going to start your skincare routine and you go a couple of days. What's your overall advice for men starting this out? And obviously there's going to be some patience, but what would you say is your overall advice for men starting a new skincare routine?
Yeah. Keep it simple. You do not need to jump into a bunch of things. If you are struggling to be in the habit and you're like, all right, I'm really going to commit, I'm really going to do it this time, wash your face and moisturize at night. And then before you leave the house in the morning, throw on a sunscreen that feels good on your skin. And if you can do that consistently, it's going to pay off over the course of your life. And then if you find like, I don't like these dark spots or these lines and wrinkles, and you want to start adding in a step and you've proven to yourself, I can do this consistently, and adding in one more thing is not going to be bad. Throw in a retinol at night, throw in a vitamin C in the morning. And then again, from there, you're consistent and you're like, all right, I want to tackle this thing. Find the ingredient or the product that treats that specific thing and then add that into your routine. And sometimes you might have to add that in and take something else out if you find something that does more than one thing. So just keep it simple and just get in the habit. So don't set yourself up for failure by trying to do too much all at the beginning.
I think that's good advice. Absolutely.
I mean,
especially for guys.
Yeah. I mean,
keep it simple.
Keep it simple. But at the same time, your skin is a reflection of your overall health, right?
Yeah.
Improves your confidence, your appearance. Yeah. And I think your overall well-being is what we're, talking about tonight.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And a lot of guys may think like, I don't really care. Like nobody notices. But when you start doing it and the first person that tells you like, your skin looks really good, or I would never have guessed you're that old, it feels pretty good.
Oh,
yes.
I get that every day.
Absolutely. They don't. Yeah, they thought you were a lot younger.
Well, Dr. Portela, I want to thank you. This has been incredibly educational for me again.
Yeah.
And such a pleasure having you. Appreciate you taking the time. Yeah, we'd love to do like maybe a part 2 on this because I know there's so much we didn't even cover. A lot of stuff we want to talk about.
Yeah.
But where can people find you?
Yeah, I'm on pretty much every social media platform under the handle at Dr. Dustin Portela, Dr. Dustin Portela. And then I have a podcast as well called Skinfluence, where we talk about everything skincare, but we work in all of the total body health type topics as well.
Very cool.
And so a lot of synergy between the things that we've been talking about today. But you can send me messages. I try to be really in touch with my community and understand what your needs are and address those through the content that I make.
That's what we love. That's what Project Y is about. So, guys, I know we talked about first steps, maybe go out, get that moisturizer, but first step, go to Dr. Portella's Instagram or listen to his podcast. I think that's the first step is educate yourself a little more.
Educate, that's the key is educating yourself.
And then go and spend the money.
Yeah, I agree. I couldn't agree more. Yeah.
Well, thank you.
Dr. Portella, thank you so much again. Maybe we can have you back on and talk about some other things. We appreciate it.
Sounds great. Yeah, I think there's plenty of questions people have that we could answer. So
absolutely. It's a pleasure having you. If you enjoyed this episode, hit that like button and don't forget to subscribe. Share it with your friends and family and drop your questions in the comments below. If you have any questions, we can even send them straight over to Dr. Portella. I'm sure he'll be happy to answer them. Thank you to RCJ Productions, Keith and Lindsay, our producers. Keith, where can everyone find you?
So go check us out at www.rcjproduction.com.
Awesome. Guys looking to start a podcast or, need some help setting up a studio, doing some audio, video. These guys are the best at it and they can help you. You can check us out at projectynow.com, on YouTube channel at the Ycast, Facebook, Project Y, Instagram, LinkedIn, and TikTok, Project Y Now. Guys, we'll see you, I think, September 10th.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah. Thanks again, Dr. Portella, and see you guys next time. Take care.
Thank you.